Good afternoon, dear students. Previous session we learned about degradation of soil and as well as conservation measures such as mulching, counterflowing, and even the rock dam, terrace farming, intercropping, and also we learned about counterflowing and shelter belt also. These are the some of the methods to conserve the land resources. Now today's class we are going to discuss about water. See, water we all of you knows that it is one of the vital renewable natural resources, but due to some reason, so now it's become one of the non-renewable resources. So naturally, actually, it is the natural resources which is which one the renewable, but because of the overuse, because of pollution, so nowadays it is going to be considered like non-renewable resources. See, we know that even the previous year he learned in a separate letter in the water, the water bodies, how it's distributed over the entire the surface of the earth and also. So the three-fourth of the earth's surface is covered with water. So the three-fourth of the earth's surface covered with water. So that's what this earth used to called as a water planet also, because the maximum of the earth is covered by water. So that's what used to called as a water planet. See, it was in the primitive oceans that life began almost 3 billion years ago. So it was believed like that. So the life began almost 3.5 billion years back. So even today, the oceans cover two-thirds of the Earth's surface and support a rich variety of plants and animal life. So the ocean water, we all of you knows that. However, it was saline. So it is about 93.7% the ocean, and that ocean water, saline water, which we cannot use. See, the ocean water is completely saline and not fit for human consumption. And fresh water accounts for only about 2.7. The ocean water, so three-fourth is the water, and the ocean water is about 93.7, and we can drink only fresh water is about 2.3. 2.7. See, nearly 70% of this accused as I mean this out of 2.7. So again it's distributed among different water bodies such as ice caps or ice sheets and glaciers and even the groundwater and inland salt lakes and so on. So especially the ice sheets and glaciers in Antarctica, Greenland and mountain regions. See, due to their location, they are inaccessible. So we cannot access the 70% of this out of 2.7%. So only 1% of fresh water is available and fit for human use. So out of 100, so we can get only 1% of the water. which we can use or which fit for human consumption. See, it is found as groundwater. It is found as groundwater, as a surface water in rivers and lakes, and as water vapor in the atmosphere. So, where is there all this, the remaining 1%? This in groundwater and rivers and lakes, and even the water vapor in the atmosphere also. See, fresh water is therefore the most precious substances on earth, because even this remaining 1% of the fresh water, so it is not enough to compare in the present days the growing population throughout the world, and it's so less also. So that's what it is, one of the most precious substance on this earth. See, water can neither be added nor subtracted from the earth. Its total volume remains constant, whether it be added nor subtracted from the earth. So the total volume of the remains its constant, and its abundance only seems to vary because it is in constant motion. The water is in constant motion. So cycling through the oceans, the air, the land, and back again, and through the processes of evaporation, precipitation, and again runoff. So this we already know and studied in the previous class. This the entire process through the air, land, back again, and through the process of evaporation and precipitation and runoff. So this is, we already knows that the process used to called as a water cycle. What this process we used to call as a water cycle. See, humans use huge amounts of water not only for drinking and washing, but also in the process of production. See, dear students, water is one of the essential for human beings and as well as for other living organisms also, such as the different natural vegetation and as well as for the wild animals and other livestock also. So we are using, I mean the human beings, so we are using the huge amount of water not only for drinking and washing, but even so we are using the water in the process of production also, even in agricultural field and as well as in industrial field. So if there is no water sources, so we cannot go through the agricultural activities and as well as the same the industrial activities also. So water for agriculture, industries, generating electricity through reservoirs of dams or the other usages. See, we all knows that. So we are using the water in agriculture field. So the first and foremost, agriculture and even in industries. Okay, and also so to generate electricity, to generate electricity. See, here the increasing population, rising demands for food and cash crops, and increasing urbanization and rising standards of living. So these are the some of the major factors leading to shortages in supply of fresh water. Now, why we are facing the shortage of fresh water? So either due to drying up, even So and the water pollution also. So these were the some of the major factors so which are leading the scarcity of water or the shortages of the water. So what are those things now? So especially the major factors which are leading to shortage in supply of fresh water either due to drying up of water resources or pollution. So especially those factors are rising demands for food. So we often knows that why rising demands for food because of increasing population and afterwards. So we used to grow some of the crops for food purpose also and as well as cash crops also, and increasing urbanization and rising standards of living also. So rising standards of living also are the major factors leading to shortage of supply of fresh water. So he knows that it's a natural process drying up and water resources sources are or especially the polluting, these are all very common. Now just there is the example which is given in your textbook page number 14. So an average urban Indian uses about 150 liters of water every day. It is one statistics or data in our country. Those who are settled in urban areas, those who are settled in urban areas, a person using so average daily it is about 150 liters. 150 liters. See what purpose actually? See, instead of drinking in urban areas, people they are using the more amount of the water for different purposes. Let us see, then we can understand about how they are using the water. So the most, the essential, that is about the drinking. Anybody can you guess? Of course, doctor used to say the healthy man must drink per day 7 liter water. It's not possible, at least 2 liters. So actually, they are using so per day 3 liters for drinking purpose 3 liters. And what about cooking? So it is about 4 liters for cooking purpose 4 liters. And they used to take a bath for bathing 20 liters. So then more than bathing, the urban people, we all of knows that they are using the most of the water for flushing. I mean in their toilets. So flushing. So we know the result also. If you are not use the sufficient amount of the water in toilets, you knows that very well the result. So it is necessary and it is essential to use the more amount of the water for flushing. Otherwise, toilets are not getting clean and can't use also. So the modern toilets, what we are using, whether the Indian toilet, I mean style toilet or Western style toilet. So the most of the Indians, so they are using the maximum of the water. So this purpose, so it's a one approximately in some of the area. It's may more also more than So for proceeding 40 liters. Okay. And again the same washing clothes. Washing clothes. Again 40 liters. And afterwards, dear students, washing utensils. For this 20 liters. For washing utensils and for gardening. So nowadays is very common. ಎಲ್ಲರ ಮನೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಗಿಡಗಳು ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಹೂ ಗಿಡ ಹಾವು ಇವು ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಸೊ ಇದು 23 liters. So 150 liters. See, it is one average. It may vary and it may differ one place to another place and one person to another person. So we cannot say the person who is drinking only 3 liter per day or using 4 liter for cooking or 20 liter for bath. Suppose if the person going to take twice, thrice bath in a day, then what about the user? It's about more than 150 liters. So it's approximately, so an average in urban area Indians are using so about 150 liters of water every day. So it is more than 150, of course, dear students, because we cannot guess so how many times we are flushing or how many times we are taking bath and how many times we are cooking or washing clothes. It's all depend upon the situation also. See, now let us discuss about the problems of water availability. See, there is a scarcity of water in many regions of the world. In many regions of the world. Especially, these problems faced the most of Africa, West Asia, South Asia, and parts of Western USA, Northwest Mexico, and parts of South America, and the entire Australia are facing shortages in fresh water supply. See that. So there were many countries, dear students. They are facing the water problems. Not only in India, not only in Karnataka, not only in our locality. So there were many countries. So most of the African countries, most of the African countries, and also dear students, West Asia and South Asia, West Asia and South Asia. Then you can just imagine, and even western part of USA. Western part of USA and also northwest Mexico. Northwest Mexico. Only these many, still many. And parts of South America. Parts of South America. And even the entire Australia. The entire Australia. See, these countries are facing shortages in freshwater supplies. Just you can observe, dear students, there are many countries, most of the African countries, most of the African countries and the West Asian countries, South Asian countries and the western part of the USA, Northwest Mexico and parts of South America also and the entire Australia also. So facing shortages in freshwater supply. So we often know that the present condition, we used to purchase water and we are drinking in the name of mineral water. See, just you can observe in the world map, almost of these countries are located in climatic zones most susceptible to droughts, face great problems of water scarcity. just can observe them. So, the water shortage may be a consequence of variation in seasonal or annual precipitation, or the scarcity is caused by over exploitation and contamination of water sources. So, these were all the some of the major consequence of variation in seasonal or annual precipitation. The scarcity is caused by over exploitation and contamination of water sources. So these are all because of these are all. So the most of the countries, so they are facing shortages of the fresh water supply. Now, let us discuss about. Now, it is very clear that water is one of the essential for all living organisms, and we needs to be conserve these water resources. Otherwise, so the human beings in future they are going to be affected a very bad way. So it's everyone's duty even in our daily life, while using water resources, we should be very careful. We should not waste water and we should not pollute water. We know that because of due to different reason, we are polluting water also, and we have to take care and we must use the water resources in a proper way. So now let us discuss about conservation of water resources. How can we conserve? Because we know that of course there is about the three-fourth of the earth's surface covered by the water. But the thing is that the entire we cannot get. So for increasing population and the availability of the water, it's also limited. So that's why we needs to be conserve water resources. Now let us discuss in the next class conservation of water resources. Thank you. Have a nice day.